You are now listening to the Yeshiva League Pass Tip-Off.
Ari, welcome back. I feel like I haven't seen you in a very long time.
It's been a while.
An extremely long period of time. We had the great Ryan Terrell on 2 weeks ago, and it was we felt like we couldn't come back after that. But I don't know, today might be another instance of that. It's possible.
Today's episode is going to be one for the books. I mean, if anyone's going to follow up flying Ryan Terrell, it's Coach Pick. There's no question about that.
No doubt about it. All right, so we're going to get him in here, but first, we have a new sponsor. And this is a big one because Ari, I didn't even know this thing existed. But
this is big. The sponsor. This is the wave of the future.
Check this out. It's called Trio, and you could notice in their logo there's a little tough hidden in there. You see that? You see that? It's cute what they did there.
I do.
Basically, what this is, Hebrew. You gotta look this up. And their website is trio.academy. And basically what it is, it's a program, it's a college program. You do almost everything online. And I don't want to say any wrong information, but essentially it allows you to finish college in like a year and a half at an extremely low cost. So
it's low cost, you get a great degree, and you really set yourself up for the future. I mean, it's the wave of the future, basically.
It really is. The founder of Yeshiva League Pass was telling me all about this before, and I was kind of blown away. I can't believe this is a thing.
Well, look, you always wanted a degree, so why don't you go back and get one?
I got two. All right, I got two.
Oh, all right.
So listen, check it out, trio.academy, and here's the kicker. For all of our listeners, if you mention the podcast or Yeshiva League Pass or any combination thereof, you get $250 off tuition. Now, you may say, $250 off tuition, what's that? Well, tuition's only $7,500 to start. It's pretty nuts. So, mention it.
College degree, it's the way to go. Trio.academy it is.
That's what it is. We also have this other sponsor called the Lions Den. I think you could tell us a little something about that.
Yeah, Lions Den is a program for adults, children. If you're looking to train, get yourself in better shape, physically, mentally, the Lions Den is a whole full program for children, for basketball, working out, and really, making yourself a better person. That's the Lions Den.
Make yourself a better person. Wow. Who's doing your marketing nowadays?
Why not?
And then we got the Ballers Basketball Academy, which basically, if you hadn't have enough of sending your kids away to Ari during the Lions Den, well, at the end of the summer, late August, after camp, there is a 4-week extravaganza. What are the dates? What are the dates? I forget.
Well, it's not 4 weeks. It's 4 days. We're not taking
4 weeks. I don't know.
4 days. August 23rd through 26th. At Hafter, you're going to have a basketball program for going into 1st through 8th grade. It's going to be an unbelievable program. You're going to have NBA players, Hall of Fame coaches, non-Hall of Fame coaches. Everyone's there to help work with you, to train you and get you ready for the upcoming seasons, and just to really advance your game. Ballers Basketball Academy, August 23rd to the 26th.
Now we're gonna have you stop talking because your internet connection is just absolutely awful today, and we're going to introduce our guest. And this is a real honor because the weird thing is I don't know that we've ever heard him speak without just absolutely obliterating his players at a very high volume. So I don't know how this is going to go. I don't know if the connection's going to hold up, but Coach Pickman, welcome to the show. It is an absolute pleasure to have you. Certainly worth the wait to get your video working.
Guys, it is my pleasure to be here. Really.
Thank you, Coach. And this it's an honor because when we came up with the show, there were certain celebrities and people that we wanted to hit, and they all said no. So we called you, Coach, and you were there for us. So no, you were. You were one at the forefront, and we forgot to mention the coach of Heschel Academy in Manhattan, the varsity coach. I know it's a one-time Yeshiva League champion. Has there been any other championships besides the one at Heschel?
In 7 years, we've won one championship. We lost in the championship game one other time by 2 to Frisch. We've lost in the semis 3 times. So I'm pretty proud of the record in the 7 years. And but you did have to only one championship. I'm sorry, guys.
No, that's okay, Coach. Coach, championships they're not easy to come by, and also you also did make a championship 53 years ago by marrying your lovely wife, who helped you put the video together and brought this episode as courtesy of Mrs. Pickman. So thank you to her for making that happen.
We just celebrated our 53rd 2 weeks ago, and God knows how many times I wouldn't be on with you tonight if it wasn't for her.
Are you even 53 years old? Is that even possible? I don't know if the math works out there.
Well, I got married when I was 11.
Yeah, that seems about right.
Well, you look good. You have much more hair than I do, and you're a little older, so you're doing something right. So let's.
Yeah, but I did take my glasses off for this because I want to look good. But honestly, I can't see a thing, so I'm going to put them back on.
Believe me, you
Coach,
don't.
we're nothing to look at. I promise you that. Trust me.
There's nothing to see there. Trust me.
Right. Let's get into your story, Coach, because we're going to get up to your Heschel days and all that and everything. But you've had an illustrious career, and I believe in our research, our PR department that works for us, has found out that you used to be involved in the NBA. You started. I don't know if you started, but you were heavily involved in scouting. So what teams did you work with, and how did you work your way up to your dream job at Heschel?
You have 3 days.
Yeah. Well, we have until. Yeah. Go ahead. We're here.
All right. I graduated Brooklyn College in 1968, where I played for 4 years. I was the captain. I think I averaged 3.5 points a game for 4 years.
Well, if they had 3-pointers, it might have been like 4.5.
That's right. And for some reason, the varsity coach then asked me to stay on and coach the freshman team and to help him with the varsity. So I went right out at the age of 22. I had just gotten married to this wonderful woman, and I started out coaching the Brooklyn freshman team. And we scrimmaged a school called Staten Island Community College, where I knew the gentleman, Ira Sweet, very great guy, passed away last year. And for some reason, after 2 years of scrimmaging him, he asked me to come over and replace him after 2 years as the freshman coach. And here I was, a head college coach at the age of 24, Staten Island Community College. I was the school. I coached there for 6 years 1 year as his assistant the first year, and then 6 years as the head coach. I knew a lot of people in Brooklyn. I knew a lot of people all over the city. I used to play in tournaments all over when I was in college, and I recruited pretty well. We were pretty successful. And then the school merged with a school called Richmond College, and they became the College of Staten Island. And we became a CUNY school, Division III. And I was a little disappointed. I had hopes of becoming the next Duke coach. I was always looking to move on. With my junior college program was successful. I thought I was a great coach. I had no idea what I was doing, except I recruited very, very well.
So wait, Coach, would you say the major part of college basketball, like what would you say between your coaching and recruiting? What's the, how does the, what's more important?
That's a great question. Both. You better, you better recruit. You got to get players. But you got to be a coach. And especially today. Back in my day, I wasn't joking when I said I didn't know what I was doing. I just had the guys, play hard, play defense, and I recruited well. So we won a lot of games. But truthfully, I laugh now at how I coached at Heschel and what I did back then in the 70s and was successful. But that's because I recruited well.
Well, something tells me you always had that fire. That fire of Coach Pickman was probably always there no matter what age.
Well, the interesting thing is, I never really thought about coaching basketball until my varsity coach asked me to do it. I wanted to be a physical education teacher. I wanted to teach at my alma mater, which was around the corner from where I lived when I got married in Brooklyn in Sheepshead Bay High School. They offered me a position there. I was a student teacher. And when he asked me, would you coach the freshman team? I honestly wasn't one of those guys that said, I love basketball. I played every day, but I wasn't one of those guys that said, someday I want to be a coach. I'm going to do everything I can to be a coach. I fell into it.
Does any player really dream of being a coach? Like, I think it's something that just comes after the fact. I don't know if.
Great question. I'm not so sure players do. Non-players do.
Right.
Managers, sports information directors, those guys, stay involved and they want to become coaches. Players think they're going to play until they die. I mean, and when you take the game away from them as a player, they really some of them struggle. But I will say this: from the first day I stepped on the court at Brooklyn College with players, that were 4 years younger than me. I was 22 years old. From that day, I got the bug. I just loved it. And when we became a 4-year college at Staten Island, we were again successful. I recruited well. We won 4 CUNY championships in 6 years. And in 1984, you guys might know I can be a little controversial at times, and I had a little bit of a political run-in at the college, and I stepped down. I was a tenured professor. I had gone and gotten my PhD in sports psychology in that time at the University of Utah. So I had tenure. I was a professor, and a good friend of mine who I met out in Utah, his name is Barry Hecker, had just gotten the job as the player personnel director with the Cleveland Cavaliers. And he said to me, Pick, help me out in your area looking at college players and scouting.
Wow.
He left Cleveland 2 years later to work for the LA Clippers. He brought me along, and that gig lasted 24 years.
Wow. So what was your title? You were a director of
I was their Eastern College /NBA scout. 90% of my job was going to college games all along the East Coast, mostly metropolitan area, Boston, Philadelphia, New York, Syracuse, and writing reports on players that they thought they might select in the draft. I would write the report. I would go out to training camp, and it's something I look back on now that I needed at the time because I didn't have a team to coach. I then also hooked up at that time with the 5-star basketball camp, which at that time was
that Howard Garfunkel?
Howard was one of my closest friends. To this day, I miss him greatly. He used to come to my games at Staten Island. He would meet me on the recruiting trail in New York City at the high school games. I'm recruiting players to come to Staten Island. And he would say to me, Pick, you got to work my camp. Pick, you got to work my camp. And I was going away to sleepaway camps, 8 weeks, as the head counselor.
Weren't you a little old to go to camp? Oh, you mean that you were working?
No, okay. I went because I took my 2 daughters.
Says the guy on his way to camp this summer.
I took my 2 daughters. I would basically take my basketball team to camp, but I was still at that time playing. I loved the thing then was I really didn't know what I was doing as a coach, but I worked my players hard. We worked on defense, but I got them to like me somewhat, even though I was pretty rough.
Well, I don't. Is the word like or fear?
Well, I'd like
or
to
one
think
becomes the same.
but when you're on the courts after the season and you're playing choose up, and I'm taking a jump shot and hitting it, and I really became a decent player after I left Brooklyn College and I started coaching. I started to sort of learn how to play by coaching, because before that, all I ever did was play. I never really knew about work on your game.
Right.
I didn't know about that. My coaches didn't do that at Sheepshead Bay, at Brooklyn College. I played a lot, but did I go out and really work on my handle, work on my jump shot, work on the things I needed to do? No, but here I become a coach. I'm taking my players to camp with me for 14 years. I'm playing with them. And then on a free hour, I'm taking some of them over to a court and I'm working with them.
Right.
I'm saying,
that's actually interesting because, Coach, we talk about nowadays, and you're a lifer, right? You're a lifer in the game. So players now, and you've seen it from recruiting back in the day and also the camps that you were involved in, the player now works on their game 12 months a year, 24 hours a day. It's a different animal. It wasn't like that back then.
Without a doubt. I was the director of the basketball program, besides working the 5-star camp, which was 1 week gigs from 1981 to 1990. I was the director of the Kutcher Sports Academy basketball program, 500 kids a week.
Oh my God.
And they were typical camp kids, no superstars, or anybody like that. And they used to have the Maurice Stokes game, the famous summer game at the camp. At first it was at the hotel, then at the camp.
Right.
The players back then, we're talking late 70s, all throughout the 80s. The first time they touched the basketball after their season ended in the NBA was at that game.
Right. Which is unheard of now. Unheard of.
They were all smoking. They were going out behind.
It wasn't legal back then like it is now.
No, they were going behind the court and they were lighting up. And I won't even give you the names of some guys, the most famous players you can imagine. They didn't do anything out of season. Nothing. So
would you say, based on that, just the caliber of player these days is better just because of the physicality and the athleticism?
Without a doubt. Everybody says today's guys, they're more athletic. Baloney. They're more this, they're more No. 11 months serious. These guys are working on their game. But wait a second. But it's starting with most of these guys in the 7th grade, 6th grade. Not where they're going, kids used to just go to a camp for a week and they play. They didn't, but to really work on your game, to work on skills, to push yourself, to get better at things. Today it's 11 months. And I will say this, and I'm joking about that. I didn't know what I was doing. There are many guys out there that can coach me under the table in a game, decision-making, things like that. After timeout, plays that you call, things of that nature. But as far as running a program, getting, I have, at Heschel, all right, I'm working with the 7th and 8th graders throughout the summer. I'm working with the 9th graders. I'm proud to say I don't just coach a team, I run a program. And it's the work and to motivate these kids really to really work on their own, not to just go out there and shoot around, but to show them how to work, to show them what to do, what an hour and 20-minute workout looks like to get better,
right?
To do it 4 or 5 times a week. That's my strength. It's my strength now. It wasn't my strength back in the day when I just,
right.
Had good players.
How many kids are in a grade at Heschel?
We're one of the smallest schools in the league. We have 65 kids in a grade.
That's what I thought.
Wow.
So the fact that you've had as much success as you've had that you outlined earlier, that's a feat. Frisch has 200 kids in a grade.
We 2 years ago, usually I have 12 guys on my team. There's only like 35 boys in each grade, 35 boys.
Wow, I didn't realize that. That's amazing. To have a run like that, like you said, in the 7 years, and Jay and I firsthand know from calling the Half their games and seeing it at the Saturn tournament and just being Yeshiva League junkies. Heschel is the premium one of the premium programs there is right now, and that's a testament to you. But tell us about I didn't even know this. You're working with the kids in 7th grade. So how does that help when they get to you? And I know some of your better players play varsity in 10th grade. So do you feel like that's a bonus? So you already know them well, or is that they're already a little scared of you to begin with?
Both. When I'm working with these kids, 3 or 4 kids in the gym in July, 2 kids, 10 kids, I'm a bit different than what you see on the sideline. Okay, I'm working them. Don't get me wrong. I'm working them. I'm correcting them. I'm critiquing them, but I'm also kissing them. All right, and I'm letting them really find out who I am. Okay, I want my players to know.
Right, you're not changing. You're not changing who you are and how you coach.
No. I want them to know. It's funny you say that. Some of my players talk about how afraid of me they were in the 9th grade when I would come and
Coach, we're afraid of you when we announce the games, and we don't even play for you. We're a little scared, but it's okay.
And then when they're seniors, and they slap me around, and they know that who I am, and that that I love them and they love me, and where I'm coming from. It's hard work. Don't get me, to have their respect, but to also have their love is hard work. I don't know of any practice I ever have where I don't sit around with my guys for at least a half hour after practice, at least a half hour, just sitting and throwing, and talking about different things. And they all, the funny thing is they all know about my background a little bit, and they want, they're asking me all kinds of questions about did you coach Michael Jordan at 5-star? Who did you work out with the Clippers? We get into that stuff, but I want them to know, that I'm more than just their basketball coach.
Right.
I'm a human being that cares about them.
So you're more, it's probably from hearing you speak, it's more about teaching, right? Than coaching. That's what you're doing. You're teaching them. And it's also probably life lessons about, growing up in this world, especially nowadays, and all that you've seen. The teaching aspect, and that's probably from you being the professor and really starting an education. That's really comes to the forefront.
A coach is a teacher, and we know there are good teachers and there are other teachers that aren't as good. We know
that's a nice way to put it.
Others and others that aren't as good. I am a teacher. All right, I teach. And one of my critiques, I watch all of these guys now. I live up in Manhattan. I go into Central Park, the courts, and there's all these kids whose parents are paying like $200 an hour for a one-on-one lesson with some guy who played in college. And these guys are they're really working them, at the end of an hour and 20 minutes, these kids are exhausted, but there's no learning going on. There's no teaching.
It's a workout, just a workout, not a basketball.
Thank you. You can go out. Yeah, it's a fitness center workout. The kid is sweating a lot. He tells his mother, I really had a good time. The kid is making 1,000 mistakes on every move that he makes. The coach never critiques him, never tells him when he does it right, just gives it to him and tells him, all right, give me 10 of those in a row. When I put a kid through my workouts, I want to teach them how to get done.
Right. Let me ask you a question.
I want to motivate them that they can go and do the exact same workout without me being there.
Right.
That's my strength.
Well, absolutely. And we've seen, like I said, we've seen it firsthand. Well, back to the NBA part. So you had mentioned the Clippers. So I know that you scouted Sebastian Telfair from Coney Island, and he was.
And I became very close to Sebastian.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, I spoke at his high school dinner when his coach Bobby Hartstein had me be the speaker when they won the city championship. Marbury as well. I'm a Brooklyn boy, born and raised in Brooklyn, and Bobby Hartstein was the coach there. And besides scouting for the Clippers, those are a couple that I would go and watch them and then become friends with them.
Wow. So would he be, who is in scouting, who was the greatest player you've ever scouted? It doesn't mean he was the best NBA player, but the player that you saw had the most potential that you thought was going to be off the charts and, hands down.
I say this now, in those 24 years that I was with the Clippers, 2 with Cleveland, and I am a teacher and a coach. When I got involved, I needed it because I had given up coaching at the college. So I need, basketball. So, and it was great. There isn't anybody, and don't take this wrong, guys. You two guys could be as good a scout at the games I would go to, Syracuse, St. John's, Georgetown, Duke, whatever game I would go to, best seat in the house. Believe me, you can pick out, all right, which guy has a chance in the NBA, which guy doesn't, what really their strengths are. It really is not that hard, okay? It really is not that hard. And at the beginning, I loved it. And as I did it more and more, I started to really miss coaching. And thank God for the 5-star camp that I would go for 3 or 4 sessions in the 90s and the 2000s before I became the coach at Heschel. My first gig back coaching was at Heschel. And I would go in those years, and I would really start to miss coaching. I would do quite a bit of teaching at the camp. I'd have a station with 40 kids, 2 baskets, and I would drill them and I would teach. So in the summer, but I didn't have my own team. I did not have my own team. And in 2010, things changed with the Clippers. The funny thing, you asked me about names of players. If my father knew that Elgin Baylor was a close friend of mine and my tennis partner for 24 years, my father would be rolling over in his grave. Okay.
With excitement, I assume.
He signed my checks. And here's the thing. I mean, I really got along with the guys. All right. We were bad because of a lot of things, but mainly because of our owner. I mean, and
Donald Sterling.
Elgin would not, buckle under to Sterling. Sterling was not a good human being, and Elgin needed the job. It's funny. One of the greatest players. He needed the 250, 300,000 he was making to live the lifestyle that he had. And so if Sterling said, no, I'm not going to pay that guy a new contract, they were gone. And everybody thought it was Baylor who really was a bad GM. One year he was general manager of the year, but he was a good person. And for some reason, maybe it was my forehand in tennis, and we became good doubles partners at some of these tournaments that we went to. But that was something that was really meaningful to me, much more so. I worked out. I started to learn how to work players out, and I worked out Sebastian. I worked out Stefan. I worked out Lamar, mostly like the New York guys who knew me. I worked out Lamar Odom. I worked out Corey Maggette. They would ask me, Pick, can you stick around and for an hour and work me out? I need some work on my pull-up.
You're just like 1 hour. I'd be here 24 hours. You were ready to go.
No, that was after a 2-hour practice.
Oh, okay.
So and I learned. And here's the interesting thing. You guys think I'm kidding when I say I didn't know what I was doing. I'm 40 years old. I'm scouting in the NBA. I had 14 years of coaching college, pretty successful. I go to the 5-star camp. All right. And most of the coaches there are high school coaches from across America. Okay. A lot of guys got their starts there. And I go there and I'm listening to these guys give lectures after lunch. And I'm walking over to their court when I'm off, watching them put their team through drills and stuff. And in those 24 years, I learned how much I didn't know. All right. I learned how much I did not know. I said, holy mackerel, look at that. Look at this. Look at that. Also, as a scout, I went to about a half a dozen of John Chaney's practices at Temple at 5:30 in the morning. I would be in a hotel the night before in Philly. I'd be walking the streets in South Philly at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Sounds a little dangerous, Coach. Sounds a little dangerous.
And I'm like, I'm not the biggest guy in the world, and I'm just looking around. But I would walk into that gym. Practice started at 5:30. He didn't get there till 6. His assistants ran the first half hour, and I'm watching the right way for players to warm up before practice. I mean, I'm watching. I'm saying, we started practice at 5 o'clock. My guys got on the court at 5 to 5. When I was in college, and we started practice. Well, for a half hour, this assistant coach had the guards down here. This guy had the forwards over here. That's the first half hour before Chaney walked in.
Who would you say who's your greatest coaching influence?
I became probably Pitino, all right, who came and spoke at the Kutcher Sports Academy camp. And then by the way, I left out that I coached high school 2 years on Staten Island, Pottenville High School, which is known for all their sports except basketball. It's in the South Shore of Staten Island, Irish, Italian, amazing baseball, amazing football, amazing girl sports, no basketball back then. I mean, it was hard. Right? And I went over there because my daughters were students there. And a kid walked in my junior year, a transfer from Cardinal Hayes, 6'10", never played basketball before in his life. Never played basketball. His name was Abdul Shamsuddin. That year, Abdul started for me as a junior, along with 4 white baseball players. We went 5-15. Abdul averaged 5 points a game. You did not know he was on the court. 6'10".
That's 6'10". That's hard to miss.
And 4 white guys. You didn't know he was on the court. I mean, he had no idea what he's doing. But I saw something in him. He ran, long arms. He was an athlete, and he fell in love with the game. And I started working him out 5 days a week, March, April, May. I called Howard Garfinkel, got him into the 5-star camp for June. I went up there. Pitino was up there scouting for, where was he at that time?
Was he at UMass then or Kentucky?
At Providence. He was at Providence.
Oh, Providence. Okay.
Yeah, Rick was at Providence. The year before, Rick spoke at the Kutcher Sports Academy. I got him to speak. All right. And Pitino said to me, Pick, he's got potential, but he's not really good enough for Providence. We left that camp end of June. We went to Kutcher Sports Academy for 8 weeks. I worked him out every day. He played with my college counselors, and we had some pretty good players every night. I brought him back to 5-star in August. 1 week, Pitino said, I have never seen a kid improve in 2 months like this kid. He recruited him, Syracuse, Villanova, Miami, and with my leaning, we sent him to Providence. I don't know if you remember, but when he was a freshman, they lost in the Final Four.
Yeah, Billy Donovan was on that team.
With Billy. Billy and I to this day are very close because I was almost at every Providence game. Okay, I was up there. I was scouting for the Clippers. All right, I was scouting for the Clippers. I was getting paid. I was going up there to watch Providence, Georgetown.
Oh, you didn't do all this for free for 50
years? No, I got a paycheck.
Oh, okay.
Paycheck, and watch my kid play for Providence. Rick and I became friendly. All right, Billy. All right, that summer I coached a team called the Staten Island Stallions in the USBL. 1986. I started. Billy Donovan. Was my point guard. He left after 10 games because the Knicks said Rick left to become the coach of the Knicks. And he wanted Billy. And Billy wound up having a cup of coffee with the Knicks. And I became really, really tight with Billy. And I've always remained close with Rick. The way he coaches, his style. I'm proud to say, I know you mock me a lot, and it's well earned. A lot of people compare my style in practice and in games to Rick. And you know what? That's maybe the best compliment I can get.
Yeah, and he's
too much better than that.
Yeah, and he's resurrecting Iona right now. I mean, that's going to be a program.
All right. I'm not saying they're going to become the Gonzaga of New York. But guess what? If Rick stays there 10 years, which he might, watch.
Right. Well, I think he's on record as saying he doesn't want to go anywhere else, but he's been on record saying things like that before. But that's another story.
But he's not that much younger than me, so that may be a part of the equation.
So let me ask you this, because this is interesting. I mean, the years that you coached, we talked about this with Ryan Terrell. Like, there are no secrets anymore. All you got to do is open the internet, and you could figure out who the best 50 players
with
are
Coach
in high
Pickman's
school.
wife's help, he can open the internet. Yeah, that's not a problem.
Yes. But, I mean, today there are no secrets. You could figure out who the best 14-year-olds are in the country, 15-year-old. Like, that's easy. I mean, how did you see that change coming through the 80s, coming through the 90s? Like, did scouting change for you towards the end of your career?
Well, I left the league in 2010. I went over to Heschel in 13. Between 2010 and 2013, I was the assistant coach at Dalton, a private school. The head coach there, it's another long story. I cut him from the United States Maccabee team back in the 90s, a Jewish guy, Teddy Frischling, who's the AD and athletic director and head basketball coach at Dalton for 20-something years now. He was a great player in Division III college. And I was Herb Brown, Larry Brown's brother's assistant coach on the Maccabee team that went to Israel 92, somewhere around there. And I live around the corner from Dalton. And I quit the Clippers, management change, Elgin was out, and I was Teddy's assistant for 3 years. And I'll tell you the truth, I'm not a very good assistant coach.
I can't imagine that. I can't imagine you can't just listen and be spoken when spoken to.
After 3 years, Teddy said to me, "Pick, I love you, but this might not work."
The door's over there, Coach.
At the same time, through somebody that I walked my dog with, and her son played for Heschel, I went over to Heschel. That's 8 years ago.
Is that dog get free tuition at Heschel?
Well, you've been following, the Spirers?
Yeah, of course you remember the name. Yeah.
Well, this was Jeremy's older brother, Zach, who was a junior at Heschel, a starter on the team. And I went over there when he was a senior. But my point in a long roundabout way is in the 10 years since I've left the league, it has changed so much. I started to see it as soon as I left, that like guys like me, all the teams needed 6 or 7 guys to cover the country to really do their homework on players. College, you need, and back then with Telfair coming out of high school, guys, they needed a lot of guys to do the legwork, and then put things together. Okay. It started to change to where now the teams have, I don't even think they have more than 1 or 2 scouts, because every single game is on video now. Right.
Everything is available.
Streamed. I have my grandkids all play basketball. I watch all of their games streamed. I mean, from these little rinky-dink gyms, I'm able to watch all their games. So the NBA, not that they need to save money, but that whole scouting business has changed entirely. I'm looking at things now on the internet. They're predicting who's going to be number 1, 2, and 3, not in this year's draft, in next year's draft.
Right.
Because they know these kids, like
right.
Watching them.
Do you think it's the same though? Do you think you missed something like by not seeing it in person? Like there could be somebody who's got a certain amount of athletic talent, but maybe he's not getting and you just don't get it online.
Absolutely yes, but not so much from the things that you're thinking about. Things like when he comes off the court, how does he interact with his teammates? You don't see that on video. True athleticism to a point, but you know what? When they're bringing these guys in, they're putting them through all these tests, they're watching enough video of their skills and whatever it is. It's the little things that you don't catch on film, when the coach starts to, get on him when he makes a mistake. How does he handle it? Things of that nature. I can't begin to tell you how much work NBA teams do on finding out about their character, finding out about their work ethic, finding out they talk to the trainers of the teams at Kentucky more than they talk to the coaches.
Right. I guess this way they really get to know them. It's more about basketball. With all the money they're investing in them, they have to know this stuff.
Thank you very much. If they're going to give this guy millions of dollars, they want to know that he can, more than that he's a good shooter, more than he can, that he's a high flyer. Yeah. They really, back then, without all of what's going on now, you needed eyes on the court. Today, not so much.
So they didn't care about that stuff in the 80s. They didn't care. The character, who cares? You could shoot, you could play. That's it.
You know what? I really believe that's true. It's sad, but it's true. It really is. Take a look. Go back. Take a look at the first round picks. Okay. I mean, back then, 30 guys 25 guys in the first round. 3 years later, half of them were gone. They were gone. They weren't in the league anymore.
Right. Let me ask
obviously,
you,
NFL.
obviously teams were making mistakes.
right, Coach. I guess the question that everyone and I mean for sure I need to know is what have you been doing with COVID and no basketball, no coaching? I mean, I assume you're still coaching finding somehow, some way, but what has the past year and a half, past year been like for you as far as filling that void?
All right, it's been a tough year. Okay, I retired from Staten Island. I was teaching as an adjunct for up until 2 years ago at a couple of the different CUNY schools. I was teaching. I'm a fitness buff. I work out every day. I was teaching fitness back in the 80s, personal fitness and stuff. And so I was teaching 2 mornings a week at either Brooklyn College or John Jay College. And I hooked up at Dalton and Heschel. With COVID, the teaching went out the window. There's no classes to teach. And I didn't have my team. Thank God I have 7 grandchildren who range from 7th grade to college. 5 of them are serious basketball players. I don't know if you guys know, but I have a granddaughter who played 3 weeks ago, opening night of the NCAA Women's Championship. She played against a team called UConn. She's the starting point guard at a place called High Point University. She's 5'2". Again, I started her in the 3rd grade, but I couldn't change her genetics.
Height runs in the family.
I am her grandfather, and her mother is 5'1". Her father is today the special teams coordinator at Rutgers. He's been at 9 different colleges, but she's 5'1". She was voted 2 years ago Player of the Year in the state of North Carolina. When she was a sophomore, High Point came after her. She loved the coach. She loved the school. They lived in North Carolina. My son-in-law was at Wake Forest, and she committed. And she's been there now for 2 years. She starts half the game. She plays about 24 minutes a game. They won their league this year. They were in the NCAAs.
Wow.
I have not missed one of her games. ESPN Plus. I've gone and thank God. And then she has a sister who's a stud sophomore in high school in New Jersey. And my other daughter has 2 boys that both played varsity for Ossining High School. One, even with COVID, I worked them out. Just me and them, or 2 of them. I watch all their games, and that's gotten me through it, really. That's gotten me through it.
Did you think in a million years that you'd ever be coaching basketball at a yeshiva high school?
Thank you for that question. I'm a lifer. I missed coaching all those years when everybody thought you're an NBA scout. Oh my God, this guy. He throws the greatest thing going, right? And people that know me going back, coaching college when I was 22 years old and working in the NBA, like they would go, Pick, you're coaching in the yeshiva league? Well, let me tell you, we know, us lifers, us teachers, the Patinos, Rick Pitino does not feel any different every day coaching Iona as he did at Kentucky and Louisville and the Knicks. It's the same thing. Evan Pickman right now is as happy, and I hope as a pig in you know what. I found a home of what true teaching and coaching is. People that really want to work hard, want to get better, give you everything they have, but they know, and and after really learning how to coach in those 25 years that I didn't have my own team, all right, where I really learned how to coach, I am having a ball. And one of my kids, I hope not too many people are hearing, but I did have a couple of kids.
No, we hope a lot of people are hearing, Coach. That's what we want.
I had a couple of my seniors in the Central Park courts last week with a 2-man workout. And one of them has been with me now 3 years. Okay. He said to me, Pick, he's going to be a senior next year. He said to me, my brother, this year's in the 9th grade. He's pretty good. I said, yeah, I know about your brother. He said, but, everybody keeps telling him, Pick, that you won't be around to coach him, that, you're an old man. I looked at him. His name is Isaiah. I said, Isaiah, the scary thing is I'm pretty sure I'm going to be around. Okay, so I have no plans. I'm having a ball. Why should I give it up?
Let me ask you a question regarding your obviously your history, your achievements are unbelievable, and just what a story. But tell me about. I know the championship you won with Heschel. So you, as you said, for 7 years you've been a contender, a favorite, a little underdog, but you've always been right at the top of the division. And come playoff time, no one wanted to play Heschel because they were a championship contender. So the year, I know you went probably a year or two before you won the championship, you had a season where you kind of skated through not skated. I mean, you had good players and you great coaching. You were a number 1 seed. You got knocked out, I believe, in the playoffs to Flatbush, right?
You are now. Thank you for bringing up. All right, probably the hardest loss I have ever suffered in coaching.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, all the years I coached college, but the hardest loss. We were 21-1. Okay, Gabriel Leifer, who I brought with me, I coached the Maccabea team in Chile. Elliot Steinmetz gave me the job 5 years ago. I brought the team to Chile. I had Steinmetz, I had Gabriel, a couple of my kids, and came really close with Gabriel. And that year they were undefeated. We were undefeated. All the talk was Heschel, DRS in the championship.
Yeah, we were doing that championship. We had it penciled in.
That was the best team I've had at Heschel. I mean, it was 4 great guards and a 6'1" kid that couldn't play a lick, but he just did everything right. All right. And Flatbush came into Heschel. We lost by 2. To this day, that's one game, all the games I've coached, one of the hardest.
Okay. So first of all, tell us about how was that locker room? Like, how was that, going into that locker room?
What's interesting about this? 2 days later, we were playing in the what do you call it up at YU? Sarachek. This is Wednesday night. Friday morning, we're playing in the Sarachek against.
Probably the best thing ever to happen to you.
Well, my kids, it was now the team that won it 2 years later. That team 2 years ago.
Yep,
might have been the least talented team I've had in 7 years.
Wow.
When we left Satrin, we were bad. We weren't good. Well, I don't know if you remember.
Of course we remember. No, you were good, but we
really weren't. We left Satrin, a broken team, great kids. Ricky Sutton was a junior. Okay. I had a couple of really good senior leadership, great quality kids. We went up to Toronto to play in their tournament in Toronto. We won it, beating an Israeli team of men. They said they were, 18 and under.
Nobody checked birth certificates.
Oh my God! I mean, Sutton really started to take over. We came home middle of January. We won like 4 or 5 in a row. Struggling, but we won. And then that was one of the only years that we had to play a playing game. Normally we've been getting buys coming in first or second, but we came in third. So I forgot who we beat in the opening round. I think MTA. We're losing at the half. We win the game close. The next game, we're losing at the half. We win the game close. We go to Frisch, who blew us out in December, and we just play an amazing game, beat them by 8 or 9. And now, if you remember the championship game,
I have questions for you. Yes,
Magen David was so much better than us; it's ridiculous.
They were defending champions, right?
Defending champs. Ike and I have really become friendly, and we hung, and then on a crazy play at the end.
Hold up, Coach. Before we get to the play, so I'm going to just paint the picture. I believe you're down by 1, about 5.7 seconds to go.
Down 2.
Down 2, right. I'm sorry.
We were down 5, and one of my kids hit a 3 to bring us to 2. We fouled. They missed both free throws. We got the ball now, shot and missed. Ball went out of bounds. 5 seconds to go, down 2.
Right. So down 2, timeout's called. So now I remember the play, and you're gonna take us through it. Is this a play that you drew up, or is it one of those great plays that just happened because great players take over?
We have 3 options on our sideline out of bounds. The play is what's called up, where the guy out of bounds fakes it to the guy cutting to the corner. We clear out the entire opposite side. Our postman runs to the elbow. We throw him a little lob, and the guy who throws him the lob comes off him for a handoff, going to the complete free side. Now, here's the thing. You watch it. I've watched it 100 times. It worked. Ricky put up a lefty layup. 1 second went in. He goes to the foul line and makes it. Here's the thing. The kid that ran, okay, I almost threw him off the team as a junior. Okay, Jake Bora. He's now a student at Indiana, and he's got an app out that he's going to be a billionaire. Okay, he once wanted me to invest in the app. But Jake Bora is supposed to catch the ball and just hand it to Ricky. He flipped it to Ricky.
Like a lateral.
It. The ball should have been batted away, but Ricky just grabbed it. The execution really wasn't there. The final result was beautiful, but Jake isn't supposed to flip him the ball as he's running. He's supposed to just take it off your head.
You probably wanted to flip him something else after you did that. And then he gets fouled. He hits the shot on a crazy lefty, falling away from the basket layup.
Yeah.
And then did you know he was hitting that foul shot?
Oh yeah. And now by the way, you know why I knew he was hitting the foul shot?
Oh, because he missed it in Sachin when he was in sophomore?
The year before against Magen David.
Right.
Ty scored, no time on the clock. Ricky missed both free throws. And we lost in overtime.
Right. Remember that.
And that team, by the way, that team was a better team. Ricky was one. I play when I have a sophomore who I know has potential to be a good junior and an excellent senior. I will work my you-know-what off to coach them, put them on the varsity, coach them like everyone else, and usually make their parents understand and them understand that they're not going to play that many minutes.
Right, it's a process.
Ricky was one of the few softs that played as a soph. Now, my kid from last year, Ben Polliner.
Oh, yeah, the lefty shooter, number 22.
Correct, all right?
Sorry.
He never, all right? He by the way, he would have been a senior this year.
Right.
He'd be the best player in the league.
He's the one he looks like Prince Henry or Harry,
correct.
Right?
Well, you know how many
Henry.
minutes he played as a sophomore? I mean, I can name it on, maybe he never played as a soph. But last year he's a pretty good junior.
So how do you get them to make that commitment? I mean, that's a hard thing for someone who's 15 years old or so.
That's right. And here's the problem. It's one of my beefs, and I always have 2 or 3. They're not playing on the JV. Don't get me wrong. I have a good JV coach, but they don't practice as often as us. They don't work the way we work. It's a different setup. Now, in the Yeshiva League, winning the JV championship is big. It's important to almost all the schools. At Heschel, it is unimportant.
And does your JV coach buy into that when you tell him, "Hey, I'm taking your 3 best players because
and they're not going to play
something."
Guess what? My answer is yes right now. But he's my 5th JV coach in 7 years.
Oh, that's funny. And by the way, one of those years is COVID, so there's no coach.
Your answer is yes. We don't know what his answer is.
Right.
Okay. Now, by the way, our JV basically makes the playoffs every year, but they're not good. Okay. But I would say if I had the last 5 years, my Sophs playing JV, we'd be battling for the JV championship. This is my philosophy. Maybe I'm wrong, and it's different than the Yeshiva League. The purpose.
It's actually interesting that you even with that small school. I mean, there'd be a world where you wouldn't even have one.
Out of 140 boys in the high school. 140. My varsity and JV is 30 kids out of 140. All right. Now, my philosophy is JV. All right. Why I really work with those kids a lot in the summer and whatever. The purpose is to prepare the 3 or 4 better players, sometimes 1 or 2 better players, to be good varsity players. I want the coach to be drilling them. I want them doing fundamentals, footwork, you name it. And whether they win or lose the game doesn't matter. That's my philosophy. So if a sophomore is going to be doing that with the JV twice a week, and he's going to be with me 3 times, and honestly, yeah, it's me, not my JV coach. He's going to get to know me. All right. I just feel more confident that the following 2 years. Now, I've had some really good. Elon Orgel won the MVP at Satcham when he was a junior. All right.
He was strong kid. Number 20.
Okay, Elon. Now, Elon.
You could thank Ari for that.
Elon was a soph on the team that lost to Flatbush.
Right.
He was a soph. He played about 15 minutes a game off the bench as a soph. I wasn't going to let him waste a year on the JV as a soph. That would have been crazy. Now, my captains that year, I don't know if you remember, Ben and Aaron, the brothers. You would remember.
Not the Sutton brothers. Who? Not Spear.
Brandeis. Ben and Aaron Brandeis. Aaron was a lefty point guard. Ben was his brother. That was the team that lost to Flatbush. Elon was a sophomore. To this day, when I see the Brandeises, they don't let me forget that I should have been playing Elon a lot more than the senior that I was playing. Coach, you blew it. You know, they blame me for losing that game. Elon should have been in there against Flatbush more as a soph. They don't let me forget it.
Right. Well, this is important. You know,
great junior and a very good senior carrying the team. He never would have been that playing sophomore JV. Forget about it. It's crazy.
Right. So you won the championship with on Ricky's shot, and obviously for 7 years of coaching in the Yeshiva League, give me your top 5 players that you've coached against. Top 5 players, from does any position, doesn't matter, just the top 5.
Well, number one is Gabriel.
All that coming.
He is.
He hasn't been on. He hasn't not mentioned on one show of ours. This is our 8th episode. He's been mentioned on every show, by the way. We're talking about my career. Yeah.
Thank God. I had the opportunity, 1, to coach against him, 2, to coach him, and to be with him for 10 days in Chile, coach him in 6 games down there, to go to his games at YU and have him put his arms around me. All right. And that I got to know him as a person. And that's why he is the player he is. They're not any better than Gabriel. And player, what he has become this last couple of years at YU. I mean,
we talked about it. It's amazing. He was a great player that made himself an all-around great player. I mean,
I know I'm following Ryan. I coached against Ryan in the Sarachek. Okay. I mean, and we beat them, but I watched him play 3 years in a row at Sarachek, and now to see him now at YU and teaming up with Gabriel. I mean, it's, those now Ryan's not in our league, but
we'll let it go. That's fine.
Okay.
He did coach against him. It counts.
You got 3 other spots.
Me, I'm bad with names. Okay.
We'll help you with the names. If you give us descriptions, I'll find out who it is.
The big kid at Frisch 3 years ago.
I know who you're talking about. Stepner,
thank you.
Stepner.
When he was a senior, wow. He was a man against boys.
Yep.
As a junior, he was okay. But Stepner as a senior, I mean, could really play high level D3. Maybe, all right. Stepner. Guards. What's his name at SAR 2 years ago?
What do you call? Oh my gosh, he's on YU right now. Oppenheimer, Jude Oppenheimer.
Yeah. Everybody said,
yeah.
Right? Watch what happens now when he gets his legs under him at YU. mean, the kid is really a good player. Frisch has had some really good players. I'm trying. Oh, what am I talking about? At TABC.
With a lot of great ones. Which one? Which one you go?
Yeah.
A big kid or a shooter, a guard or forward?
Well, the kid that would have been a senior this year.
Oh, yes. Samet.
Samet.
Yeah.
I mean, last year, we held him to 30 at their place. I mean, I think
held him to 30.
No, and we prepared to stop
Zevi
him.
Samet, yeah, great player.
We prepared to stop him. He had 8 threes.
Yeah, well, Coach, when you come across half court and you're in your zone, and you're in your shooting range, it's hard to stop someone. So that's the kind of shooter he is.
He made every single one of them from the left corner. Great coaching on my part. That after 5 of them, we still were leaving him open in the corner, right?
Yeah, I remember coaching a great shooter, great player.
But you know what? It's I will tell you. Here's another thing. The coaches in our league, I are many of them excellent coaches. I didn't coach against guys as good as this when I was in college.
Wow, those are big words.
The junior college coaches I coached against, Staten Island community back in the 70s, the city university coaches that I coached against into the mid 80s, not even close. These are
you got a lot of lifers, not Gabe Lifer, but lifers, coaching in the Yeshiva League.
And I got to tell you, I find it invigorating to coach against them. Joey, if a coach Joey, and each with their own style of what they're doing, but what they're doing year after year. The kids play. They really, if the league would wise up and put a shot clock in.
Oh yes, we've been talking about these.
I think I've said that about 4,000 times.
We wouldn't be talking about our players like, they're at a lower level than other high schools. The game would have to speed up, and our kids would show that they can play the game at a faster level.
Right. Well, Coach, your style, I would say, and this is just from observing you, I could be wrong. I would say you're more offensive-minded coach. That's where your focus is. Yes, I know every coach likes to say they hang their hat in their defense, but the way you advance the ball, it's almost like the Mike D'Antoni. You get that ball, the Roy Williams, your point guard, or they just need to advance the ball. Would you say you're more an offensive coach than a defensive-minded coach?
Absolutely not.
Okay, that's why you're the coach and I'm just the announcer here.
Okay, the one thing, all right, I'm a big believer. All right, defense wins championships. Man to man, if you can't play good man, you can't win consistently. Although Avram
the 3-2 zone
proves that wrong. Okay, and I'll tell you, and it's a tribute to him because they really play. That's all. And Gabriel, used to joke with me, like, thank God I got you picks because now I know how to play a little bit of man-to-man. Now I understand that I'm not just face guarding my man.
Well, when you have all 6'5" players, you can play a little zone.
But truthfully, you got to defend. You have to make transition both ways. Back and up. Back and up. The entire game of basketball is transition. Look up the word transition in the dictionary. Going from one thing to another. Transitioning. The whole game of basketball is transition. I'm guarding the ball, but now I'm not. What do I do? I'm denying a guy the ball, but now he's off the ball. What do I do? It's changing from one job to the next. The whole game is transition. Everybody thinks it's going from defense to fast break. Well, I believe the ball, we have to run every chance we get. And even after the other team scores, we're going to bring the ball up quick. And we're going to look for just one of your 5 guys to be loafing, to be sleeping. That's all.
Right. Get an easy bucket.
Not like the guy with the ball is looking to go to the basket. That's on a bad team. The guy with the ball should be looking for one of the other 4 guys who's catching his guy sleeping in transition. And the last thing is you got to make transition, defend, make transition, and rebound. Honestly, I am not a good offensive coach, as good as I should be, and I really need work on zone offense.
Right,
Okay,
there could just be a lot of zone in the Yeshiva League, a lot of zone defense.
That's right, a lot of zone, and honestly, because my team, we work so hard on man-to-man defense, we hardly, and we don't play zone very little. All right, we'll show it to you, whatever, but because of that, we don't practice that much against zones. The one practice we have again before we play DRS, it's not enough. It's not enough. A 2-hour practice getting ready for his zone. You really need more. And
right. You need to see it and play against it.
I spend most of my time defense, transition, and rebounding.
Right. And, well, that's so. See, it shows you what I know. But no, it just Jay and I have seen.
But I'll tell you what. Thank you. If you think my teams look pretty good on offense,
then, sure.
Hey, I'll buy that.
There's two things that stand out about you. Everyone knows the intensity is unmatched, unparalleled. It's just unbelievable to watch you on the sideline. We always said we want a pick cam on your head to see how many laps, miles you're going. But it's not just the intensity. And Jay and I have talked about this on air during games. It's the respect that your players have. When you call a timeout, every one of these players, you could be yelling, teaching, it's all teaching. It's not, no berating. It's really a teaching moment. But they're all looking at you right in the eye, and they're listening. Maybe out of fear, maybe because they don't want to have anything other than to, show that. But, how do you get that level of discipline from the kids? That's got to be within them also. But to really, to not turn out and say, what am I doing? I don't want this. They thrive in that moment.
I'll tell you, it's real simple. I work on it every day in practice. I work on it. If I call the team together, mid-court, after they've been screwing up in practice, I pull them together. And I start talking to them, and one of the guys over there is turned around. I'll say to him, yo, Joey, what are you doing? I'm over here. I want you to look at me, Joe. The discipline that it takes to play this game is what I'd like to think they're learning that they're going to carry over to their life. I'll tell you the truth. I'm a teacher. I teach a fitness class in a classroom. All right. It's not just working out. All right. They got to understand the difference between aerobic and anaerobic. I'm in a classroom. If my students at Brooklyn College, John Jay, College of Staten Island, I've been fortunate to be mostly college. If they fall asleep, I wake them up. You can't sleep in my class. If they're on their cell phone, I throw them out.
So that discipline is part of it's part of you.
I'd like, you say I'm a host or whatever it is. I think I'm trying to help them, to become better students.
Better people, right? Absolutely.
How the hell are you going to learn what I have on the board about aerobic and anaerobic when you're on your cell phone? Now, many teachers say the hell with him and they ignore it. I can't ignore it. It's my job to teach them subject matter, how to shoot, how to pass, how to dribble, how to know the difference between aerobic and anaerobic. Okay, that's part of my job. The other part of my job is to teach them how to become better people, how to look at somebody when they're talking, how to listen,
right?
Focus. And basketball, honestly, it sounds trite. It's no different than teaching in a classroom. It's the same thing.
It's amazing. I mean, in Coach, we could probably go on, like you said, for 3 days and keep talking about, and not talking learning. I mean, this is just really, it's informative to us and it's obviously our audience, but it's been amazing to kind of just get to know you from the sidelines, a little bit and see, obviously we're in awe of your coaching ability and your records, and your achievements, but the kind of person you are, you can almost feel the energy just, here in this interview, and your players must, leave you and realize that they have probably had their best 3-4 years, however long they were with you, to know that they've played for a coach who cares deeply and really, like you said, prepares them for life. So, we thank you so much for coming on the show, and it's, we're excited to have our audience, get a little more impersonal, behind the scenes with Coach Pickman. And if there's anything you want to say in closing, the floor is yours.
I can't thank you enough for those kind words. They mean a lot to me. They really do. My question to you is, do you think you're going to be able to handle me in the Satrin for the next 20 years?
Of course.
Okay,
I mean, we may not have the energy to continue, but if you're there, we'll be there. There's no question about it. I mean, it's a pleasure. It's an honor. And like you said, it's just great to see you on the sidelines, and the passion and the energy is unmatched. I mean, Jay, is there anything else that we look forward to more than a Coach Pickman game?
Absolutely not.
Gentlemen, it's been my pleasure, really. And actually, supposedly, we're going to be having a mini season coming up.
I heard that they're
trying to have. I may have my first practice supposedly at the end of this week, early next week, outdoors. And supposedly my AD is talking about how the league is going to try to have 6, 7, 8 games, and then some kind of a little playoff, starting off with the games outdoors. And you know what? That would be wonderful. It would really.
The kids deserve it after everything they've been through.
Especially the seniors. The seniors. I know my 4 seniors are biting at the bit, and just for them. And yet my 4 seniors are no different than the 4 or 5 seniors on the other 20 teams. And you magnify that, and it just tells you how devastating this has been for everybody. So I'm looking forward to getting back out there and at Satrin, giving you guys, a bit of a rough time if I can.
Absolutely. We have it no other way. We love it.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Thanks, Coach. Be well, and thanks again for coming on the show. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
You got it.
Oh, and tell Ryan that I followed him, okay, because I know Ryan. I followed him, and I almost lived up to his setting the standard, okay?
Coach Ryan Coleman. All right, we'll let him know. Thanks, Coach. You were great.
Yeah. Hey, dummy. I think he was talking about Ryan Terrell, the actual Ryan that he followed.
Right.
And I know we've only had 8 episodes and 2 Ryans, so we've
had 2 Ryans. Every episode has mentioned Gabriel Leifer, who's coming to an episode near you, obviously. But I realized that after we let Coach go.
Listen, if this one's 8, I think we have to have Gabe Leifer as 10. As an anniversary episode. Right. It's a big number, double digits.
Gabe, you've been mentioned by every episode. He's been mentioned. Every episode.
What's funny is I know that Ryan Terrell said that he watches every episode. Gabe probably doesn't watch it.
No.
This is not for him.
No, he's too busy, taking over the world, just doing some mitzvah or something. I mean,
now Ari, I don't think I've said anything, and since I said hello to Coach Big.
By the way, I felt like I was on vacation. I was sitting back here.
He doesn't need much. He doesn't need much to get going.
No, that was you know what? I'm just wake us up when we need. I mean, to ask you a question. But he was the history of the game. That's what that was.
And it's funny. First of all, let's just say I had no we've seen Coach Pickman at Satrin and whatever. I had no idea the guy worked in the NBA for 25 years.
That's our PR department is the best.
No, listen, and it's so interesting because that's a theme that you and I hit on all the time. It's kind of like the sort of the merging of Jewish basketball with real basketball, and it's, and he makes a good point. I mean, a lot of the coaches in the Yeshiva League have been coaching for 20 years. They're basketball lifers too.
They're doing it because they love it. It's like you said, it's teaching. I mean, that's what it's about. I mean, look, your players are changing every year. I mean, it's not like you're ever having the same more than 2, sometimes 3 years.
And Ari, is that when you look at coach, is that like a life goal for you? To be in shape, be working out at
I mean, Coach 70s? Pickman he's pretty much a role model. He's on my Mount Rushmore.
Now I think you understand why he paces so much. The guy's got so much energy. He's
oh my gosh! But it's interesting,
laps.
Right? What we always said, the intensity that he brings, you see it on his players. I mean, they mirror it, they show it, and they respect it. But what a history! Can you imagine And I guess that's also why the Heschel players are so good. They get to practice with him, learn from him, and really, have that energy, which is just unbelievable.
And by the way, I have something in common with Coach. I can't remember anybody's name either, nobody's name.
He just gave me a little description,
but the way he described the Sutton play, and then the ball was flipped and it wasn't handed off. I have the same thing. I'll play softball. I can remember every pitch and that. But I mean, ask me my neighbor's name. I can't tell you.
Right. The details of the important stuff. I mean, you got to remember. You do know the name of your
Names,
3 children, right?
Who needs it? What?
You know the names of your 3 children.
I do.
Okay,
And
that's
embarrassingly, you know the name of every yeshiva player that's played in the last 15 years. That's
and usually the number as well. But yeah,
yeah.
that's our great PR department. You know, they do all the research. No, but that was
you're sitting there. You think you're sitting there with like a laptop and you're able to look these things. No. It's just top of your head.
2012, 2 minutes left in the game. Right, just got it.
Yeah,
but
that was the most fun thing when he's like, "All right, I'll just tell you what hair color the guy has, and you tell me who it is." You're like, "I got you."
I think he wore Nike sneakers, and
he had the Kobe 4.
He went to some school in Jersey. Charades with Coach Pickman and Ari Wick is perfect.
Yeah, you didn't need much when he said TABC. You're like, yeah, got it.
Got it. Exactly. And this is why we're doing this podcast, because without me, there'd be no knowledge of the game. Without you, there'd be no show, because we wouldn't be able to produce it. So,
well, hey, listen, and with Coach Pickman, you didn't need me to talk. That's
no, he was great. And just, let's just basically wrap up by thanking him again, and also telling you about our big sponsor, the newest sponsor to the show.
Yeah, Trio. Unbelievable. If you didn't catch it in the beginning, you probably did. But as a reminder, make sure to mention Yeshiva League Pass or the tip-off or both.
Trio.academy.
Trio.academy. I'm not even going to bother explaining it. Look it up online. It's a new alternative to kind of get through college. If you're somebody that wants to go to Israel, you want to go to Israel for a couple years, or you're just looking to kind of expedite, you're not looking to pay $200,000 for college. Really cool program that they got going. You could expedite your 4-year degree. You can go on and get a master's. You can go on and not. Check them out, Trio.academy. Make sure to mention us to get some money off. The Lions Den. The Lions Den.
The Lions Den, they're great. Ballers Basketball Academy is great.
I think you should have Coach Pickman as like a guest instructor.
Oh yeah, Hall of Fame coach. He's coming, of course. Coach Pickman
he really seems like he'd fit in.
He'd be great with those first graders. I'm sure they would love that intensity and yelling. No, he'd be great. But yeah, thank you to Trio.academy. Look them up. They are our big time sponsor of ours. And mention Yeshiva League Pass, the tip off, and you'll get some money off of tuition.
Woo! I gotta take that all in. I need a couple minutes.
That was great.
I said, "Oh, how's Coach gonna do this?" He's not all excitable like at a bet. No. Intensity was there, man. This guy, woo!
He's intense brushing his teeth. I don't think he changed.
I'm gonna need a good hour. I think I gotta go ice after. I gotta go get the ice on.
So we are out. That was episode number 8.
There it is. Wow, he got it on the first try. Right. Just be careful which fingers you're putting up, which fingers you're not putting up. Be very careful.
A little confusing.
All right. Until next time, me and this guy, we're out of here. See ya.